Simagic is releasing a new entry-level pedals to their line, the P700, and they sent this for review. I also have an affiliate link with them and a discount code RANDOM if you want to help the channel out. As always, all opinions are my own. The P700s are an affordable set with some interesting characteristics that will allow you to start sim racing and at a later stage still continue with them. But before going there, a big thank you to all the viewers, members, and subscribers. Without you, reviews like this wouldn't be possible. I'm trying to get 100,000 subscribers, and if you want to help the channel out, the best way to do it is pressing like and subscribe. Thank you so much. The standard dual pedal will cost $189 or 160 euros, all depends on which country you are. The clutch model by itself, it's $59 or 50 euros, but if you buy the 3-pedal set, it will cost you around $209 or 175 euros. In terms of specs, this pedal set will have a 12-bit Hall sensor in all pedals, and that includes also the brake pedal, but the brake pedal will also have up to 150 kilo load cell, but that number is a bit dubious. For this review, Simagic also sent the HPR GT model. It will cost $39 if you buy them in the triple pack. It will cost you $117, but you will also have to buy the power supply for this, which will be $25. If you think about it, if you buy everything together, it will be a little bit as expensive as buying the pedal set by itself. This pedal set will have a lot of heavy competition running at the moment. That includes the Mazda SRP load cells, that includes the Fanatec CSL. That doesn't come with the load cell, but when you add the load cell, it will be cheaper than this one with triple pedals. You'll also have the Logitech race line pedals that they have released. They have the new Trustmasters and also the Conspit Apex pedals, but those are a little more expensive, but they're still within more or less the range of prices if you start to putting these types of things in, which I think, once again, they're kind of dubious. They are all more or less the same in terms of performance and in terms of quality of construction, though Simagic wants to be a little bit different in the options that it provides in the box to provide you a more long-term experience than the other pedals, at least I have found. I'm going to start the deep dive actually with the pedal tray. It's a basic pedal tray, but also a sort of a small annoyance, which is kind of the case of all of this review. All of it will have some sort of small annoyances. It's a simple but useful pedal tray with all the holes inserted so you can move your pedals left to right as much as you can, because, you know, there's only limited numbers. On the other side, you have the control box, which seems to be removed. There are some screws at the top. And you have the inputs for the throttle, 2 for the brake, 1 is for the Hall sensor, and 1 is for the load cell. It doesn't seem to me there is an issue mixing them about, because they don't say which one it is, which I chosen one, it worked. 1 is for the clutch. This one is for the haptic reactors. So you have 3, 1 for each haptic reactor. Then you also have over here, this connection over here, this Ethernet will be for the wheelbase, 1 for USB-A for your USB. That's the one that I use. And this is the one that you want to use if you want to use later on whenever it's available, Sim Hub. We'll talk about that in a second. And also this one is for the power. The issue I was talking about, a small bit of annoyance, is this rubber pad. This rubber pad is quite sticky, at least with my shoes. You don't need to use them, and also to insert them, it's a bit of a pain in the ass as well, because the rubber actually starts to mold, and you have to go insert them, every single one. It's an interesting thing to add. Honestly, I've used it without it, but it might not be perfect or the best solution for those of you who are on socks or are on bare feet. So you want to use that. For me, that is using water shoes. This one is a bit of an annoyance. I removed it and I had no problem with these holes. This is the throttle. I have assembled already the Haptic reactor over here. It's a very simple throttle, simple design. Hall sensor, 12-bit, so 4096 positions. Uses a spring on a hinge, and that's basically it. There is the possibility of changing the spring to something else. For example, there's a goodie bag. This goodie bag is really important. When we see the brake, you'll see exactly why. And you can change the spring simply by going back and lifting, taking it out and putting it in. If you want, you may use a little bit of lubrication, nothing like WD. Use something that is for this kind of stuff. There are a few holes on the side. There is this hole over here that will be if you want to change the angle of your pedal. And these two over here and on the other side as well, they are for the haptic reactors. And there's also two on the inside where I connected this one. Now, the position of the haptic reactor will be important because if you use it with springs, it will be totally fine if you are moving it back. But if you are using this with the load cell, that will be with, if you install, of course, the elastomers, I would heavily recommend you that you use the side holes. Otherwise, it will be very, very difficult to do any sort of maintenance or changing your load cell stack to try something out. I figured out that later on the install stage, so I had to remove this out and put it on the other side, but this is not explicitly said on the manual that I have seen, both on the pedal manual and also on the haptic reactor own manual, because the P700s are not there. One thing that annoyed me a lot about this pedal set in general is related to the mounting points for the pedal tray, because all of these, except for one in 12, because it's 4 for each, only one of them actually was easy to install. All of the other ones, if you went past middle, it was very, very difficult to screw them over and to connect them to the pedal tray. I've talked to Simagic about it. It told me, use force, use force. It went to use force to a point where one of the Allen keys started bending, but eventually I was able to get it in. And they told me the reason why this is, they talked to the factory, is that the factory gave too much anti-rust treatment to this. Therefore, it was a little bit thicker than expected. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt. Your mileage may vary and all of that stuff, but it was something. Instead of taking 10 minutes to assemble everything, it took me around 1.5 hours to assemble these pedals because it was always a discovery. Then we have the brake. The brake is quite interesting, and in my opinion, is definitely the star of this whole package. And if there is anything that makes this package worth the money, it's this pedal set, even though it is exactly the same as the other one, faults included over here and everything else. And the reason why I say this is that there is such a thing as this wonderful, wonderful goodie bag. Originally, this pedal set actually comes with a spring, and this is important for those of you who are on desks or wheel stands or using them on the floor. And also there's this goodie bag over here that tells you that you can use these and install them so they can be used on carpets. Therefore, if you look around, this is for regular floor use or to mount it on your wheel stand or sim rig. But if you want to use this on carpet, you can use these on carpet. There's also another option, which is the P700 wall mount. This is an extra that you can buy separately. And this allows you to use your pedal set against the wall and mount it and even bolt it against the wall. So once you open it, you'll have one of this. This will be the bar for the back, and the mounting bars, two of them, to the side. This means this pedal set has many options for you to mount it, and therefore the goodie bag makes sense because you have access to a spring, another spring. Actually, you have two springs. This spring is a little bit tighter, even more tight than this one. So that means you can choose between two springs. If you want to use spring, this will be very useful. For example, if you're using it on the floor with carpet, you know, or against the wall without the mount. But it can also be very useful if you don't want to use the angle sensor, but you're using it on a wheel stand. But once you start moving up and you want to go to a rig, there's the option of elastomers. There are 55. There are springs. And there are also rubber stoppers for the spring. There's a few options that you can choose. There's like 35 options in between all of this that you can choose. And the way that I chose it for my sim rig, it's the way that I normally use all my pedals, and I find it very, very good, especially on pedals that are entry level like this one, and I have good performance out of them. It's to add the hardest rubbers or elastomers, and then uncompressed or the stiffest spring without any sort of stopper, but you can add stoppers if you want. So you can do whatever you want, and this works really, really well. For this one, for the brake pedal, I would recommend, like I said before with the throttle, to put the mounting point for the haptic reactor on the side. And to change the brake stack, use these red knobs at the back. You push them back and then you use them and lift it up and you change it, and you can do all the changes that you want. For example, let's put it back on the red one. Go inside, compress, it's done. This is a very simple pedal set to use. As you can see, there's two cables, actually three, but two over here for the RJ cables. One is for the L sensor, one is for your load cell. You can choose which one you can use inside the software. And the last pedal, this one you buy separately, it is the clutch. Same issues that I had over here. The rest, it's exact copy of the throttle pedal. There's no sort of hinge system or anything like that. It's an exact copy. There's really nothing to mention about it besides the spring be a little bit stiffer. So the last thing I'm going to talk about will be the PHPR GT. So haptic reactors, Simagic sent 3 of them. We can call it the FERPR GT. Might as well call it because the power supply is called the PAPS. This has been a point of contention, a little niggle or a lot of niggles between all small things that we have in this pedal set. And inside it, you have, just the regular things. You have a manual, whatever, some mounting screws, and you also have the Haptic reactor. It's very, very small. And then we have one of the angles. This will be the angles to use on the pedal set. Now, the point of contention between this one, it is partly of the use, but that, once again, mileage may vary. I never liked these sort of things. The other one is quality control. They sent me 3 of them. This one specifically is 29 centimeters in length. They should be 34 or 35. If you have one that is 29 centimeters of length, like I've had, it's not possible to be used with the pedal set unless you do some sort of magic, because I wasn't able to make it work at all. So in terms of quality control between all of this stuff, there is a lot of quality control issues, small quality control issues on the hardware that can be quite annoying, but it doesn't just stop there. Okay, continuing the streak of little things that kind of annoyed me while doing this review, let's have a look at the software. In this case, SimPro Manager 3. You can do all the stuff, normal stuff you can do on big softwares like this. Update your firmware, do calibrations, change presets and all of that. No different for the P700. There's a bunch of small but powerful things that you can use. The software is very clearly laid out, very simple to use. You can do the calibration. The calibration will calibrate everything. Don't need to go through every single step like in some softwares you have to do. Calibrate the throttle, calibrate both the Hall sensor and the load cell, and also the clutch. Very simple. Dead zones up and bottom. You can add dead zones. You can change the linearity, the curves of your throttle, brakes, and clutch, depending if you want to what you want to use. Over here at the top, I can recommend you a couple of things for those of you who are using on the desks. If you're using one of the springs, because the springs aren't really that solid, and this doesn't really push that much. If you're using it on the desk, for example, you can use the angle sensor. It should be good enough. If you are using it against the wall with that adapter that comes, or you have a very strong carpet, you can go to the load cell, and you can also change the force of the load cell up to the maximum. If you want to use less because it's too much for you to press, that's totally fine. That's an option there for you. Incredibly easy and laid out to use. For the feedback motors, the rumble motors, in this case the HPR GTs, also incredibly simple to calibrate. You press this as on, you put these as on, you choose which effects you want. For example, with the brake, I want the ABS, because if you lock the tires or engage the ABS, I want it to do the effect. I want also wheel locks, very useful, I suppose. And for the throttle, I want TC active and wheel slip. So if the traction control goes on, feel it on throttle, and also the wheel slip if the car is actually slipping. It may be useful. One thing that is quite interesting is, and it's good that this happens here as well, is the testing or the checking out of each effect. So you can configure each effect to what you want. So for example, if you want more or less strength, or if you want it more sensitive or less sensitive, you can press it to test and see how it feels on your foot. So each specific one will have its own thing. For example, here at the ABS, at different frequency, and you can configure this however you want it. It's good it happens here, and you can configure the force as well, because at the time of testing, and I did go to the Simagic guys to check it out, I wasn't able to make this work in SimHub because the HPR GTs are SimHub compatible. For some reason, with these pedals, they are not able to release the channel, so SimHub checks it out. SimHub is able to see it, but it says it's being used. I've tried a bunch of different things. I've been trying this for over an hour. It never worked. So at this point in time, for my unit, for whatever else is happening here, another frustration, you know, I wasn't able to use with SimHub, and SimHub does have some great kick-ass profiles to use with rumble motors. It's sad, but it's life. I need to continue the review.
Yeah, future call sign here, and you know it's future call sign because I had an haircut. Apparently, SimHub has now fixed this, but unfortunately, I don't have the pedal set anymore to test it. I sent it back. So I was told by Simagic that with the new update of SimHub, this should be okay.
For the testing part of the review, there's two ways to look at it. As a whole, with the haptic reactors that have, you know, a cost to it, which depending how many of them you buy, they end up being as expensive as the pedal set, and then as the pedal by itself. And we're gonna have a look fast through both of them. I don't particularly like the haptics. The Sim Pro software is okay, but the effects feel a little bit too meh for me. They work, but nothing really special. You do feel, for example, here the ABS activating when the lights come out. At the side of the dash, you feel, for example, the TC slip. So pretty cool, but the effects feel a little bit tinny. It feels like it loses a lot of presence even with force. It could be better in SimHub, but then again, I've tried many on SimHub, and it really never really kicked for me. It's not something that I particularly like, but you do you. If I were a buying man and I wanted a haptic, I think one is enough, in my opinion, because that one, quite honestly, I think will be better used on the brake, where most of the stuff actually happens too, and then the price starts to spike, and what you get out of the money isn't really that much. Might as well just spend the money and get a better pedal set. By itself, now this is a part for me that is interesting. By itself, if you exclude the haptics, this is actually a pretty good pedal set at the price. And the two pedal set has a really good performance, because the load cell is really good because of the options they provide us in the goodie bag. And the goodie bag is important because it gives you a lot of things to make this work. As for the throttle is simple, but it works. I didn't particularly like many of the choices of the springs. You have the regular silver one, you have the gold one. I've tried the gold one, the red one, and quite honestly, I prefer the stock silver one, though it doesn't have the same level of resistance, sadly. So it works, could be better, but then again, entry-level pedal. But what is quite interesting is definitely the load cell, because the load cell works really well. I'm using the load cell at max. I'm using the stiffest spring. I've used two springs, with stopper, without stopper, to try to get it more like a dual stage, triple stage, to see what I could do. But for me, the old good stiff spring with the stiffer elastomers work really well in pretty much all brakes that I've used, except for the SimLab XP1, because there was a problem apparently with the elastomer. And okay, works really well in pretty much most pedal sets. This one is no exception. And in terms of feel, it's really good. You feel good feedback from this elastomer and spring setup. You can use other ones if you just want to use springs. You can use springs. For me, they're a little bit too light for the brake pedal, but you know, your usage and mileage may vary. Man, I don't have anything to complain, and we have to put everything in perspective. It's not a high-end pedal set. Doesn't need to be. The price is okay, and the performance running around is actually pretty good. So once you get this going, because there's a lot of options out there for you, this is such a decent, in good performance pedal set. It's shame about all of the small little niggles, and actually the haptics kind of suck, in my opinion. Okay, let's talk about conclusions now. I've had not a very good time assembling these because there are issues with the quality control that they told me that they were going to fix. I don't think that the haptic reactors are worth it very much. At least I never liked haptic reactors in any pedal that I've used, no matter how big or small. For me, these are usually passable, but your mileage may vary. The thing is, once these pedals are assembled, it took me a while. You understand there is a lot of value in these pedals because you get a look at their little goodie bag and you understand automatically what is the thought process behind it. Simagic wants you to have an entry-level pedal set that works from working on a desk, against the wall, on a wheel stand, up to the sim rig, and you have options for everything. That means that you buy a pedal set, and that pedal set can last you many, many cycles of upgrades. And that for me is worth some money because not having to think about that type of upgrade is really, really good. Having a pedal set that will last you that long into those update cycles are really, really good. In terms of performance, these are not my favorite pedals whatsoever. I much like the pedals that you're seeing there on the back, but those are much more expensive. I don't particularly like the Throttle. It feels too soft, but you know what? It works flawlessly. It was really, really perfect to use. The load cell stack, though, the options we have with it, I found it that they were really, really good. I didn't feel any problems modulating it. It didn't feel like that at the last stretch of compression like it happened with the SimLabs XP1s. That the rubber was feeling over-compressed. It never felt like that. It always felt reliable on the way back. So for a price of this type and having those options, it is something to think about. So that means, in my opinion, if you're looking for something that will last you a while and will give you options from entry level up to more or less mid-range, and you have good performance in all of it, I think the P700s are good to think about. Not sure about this.